We're now going to do an in-cab inspection. The very first thing we want to check on the in-cab inspection is our paperwork. We're going to make sure we've got an insurance card, registration, and any permits necessary. They should all be contained in one area, in an envelope, binder, and easily accessible. From there, we want to go right into our seat belt. Make sure that it latches and it's firm, holds us, no frays or cuts in the belt itself. While I'm here, I'm also thinking safety. If you remember, while we were on the outside, we checked the fire extinguisher and the triangles. In addition to those safety equipment, we also want to make sure that there are some fuses in the glove box, and they are in the glove box, or as long as we have fuses that are accessible. From here, we want to go right into a safe start. So a safe start, I'm going to make sure the brakes are set, the transmission is in neutral. I want to depress the clutch, cover the foot brake, turn the key on, let the system stabilize. Go ahead and fire it up. Immediately I look at my oil pressure, make sure my oil pressure starts coming up, and once it does, then I can slowly release the clutch. And that consists of a safe start. Engine in neutral, foot brake covered, brakes engaged, clutch depressed, turn the key on, start the engine and make sure that the oil pressure comes up. You've got a safe start.
With the addition of anti-lock braking systems, you are required to verify that the ABS light illuminates on the dash and then goes out.
While I'm here, I go right into my steering wheel. I want to make sure that I don't have more than 2 inches of play. And you can see that I don't have much play at all. This is a really good tight system. I'm here, I can go ahead and honk my horn, my city horn, and my air horn. And then I want to go ahead and go through and check my gauges. I want to check my voltmeter, make sure that it's registered between 12 and 14. My oil pressure and my coolant, engine coolant, make sure that those are all registering. Here's my RPM gauge and my speedometer. So I come across here, here's my primary air tank, make sure it's building up to at least 100 pounds or plus. And then my secondary air, my fuel gauge. This is called an application pressure gauge. This is just registers how much pressure I'm putting on the foot brake. My transmission temperature, my front differential temperature, and my rear differential temperature. All my lights are on, and right here I want to make sure that my turn signals work on the dash, my right and my left, my four-ways, and my brights. And they all register. Coming across the bottom set of gauges, these are extra gauges for cruise control, for my fifth wheel lock, and make sure that everything's in the proper positions. I want to check my heater and my defrost, so I switch this to defrost all the way to heat, and make sure I get a good blow up on the defrost here. I also want to check my windshield wipers and make sure that my windshield wipers properly clean the window and that I get fluid, windshield wiper fluid. I also want to make sure that there's no stickers, cracks in the windshield that would obstruct my view. I want to make sure that my mirrors are properly adjusted and clean so that I can get a good view of the equipment that I'm moving as well as the road around me. Make sure all my mirrors are adjusted. Let's do an air brake check now. And to probably do the air brake check, we want to first depress the parking valve and the trailer supply valve, put it into gear, and we want to get the truck rolling. And then once it's rolling, I'm going to go ahead and depress the foot brake and make sure that it doesn't pull to one side or the other and that the foot brake stops us. With that, now we're going to do something that's called for sale. We're going to check 4 components and then make sure all of the components of the air brake system work. The 4, I'm going to check the foot brake, the trailer supply valve, and the parking supply valve. Make sure that they all do their job of holding the tractor trailer. So I put it in a low gear, and with my foot on the foot brake, I go ahead and release the clutch and make sure that it holds the truck. That passed. Now I want to release the foot brake and apply the trailer brake. And again, release the clutch slowly and make sure that the trailer brake holds us. So that's 1, 2. Now I'm going to engage the parking valve, and we're going to check the trailers, or check the tractor parking brake, make sure that that holds us, and it does. Now I'm going to switch, apply the trailer brakes, and we're going to check and make sure that the trailer brakes hold us. And it does. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. With all that in place, now I want to release both trailer valves again, make sure that the truck is in gear,
For safety purposes, prior to performing the in-cab air brake inspection, some states require that you use wheel chocks. Other states only require the use of wheel chocks in areas where an incline is present. Be sure to check your state's CDL handbook for clarification. Now that the vehicle is secure, let the air build until the governor cutoff engages, approximately 120 to 140 psi. It should take 45 seconds for the air pressure to build from 85 psi to the governor cutoff.
Now we're going to shut the engine off, and then I'm going to leave it in gear so that helps hold me still, and then I'm going to turn the key back on. From this position, once my air gauges and all my gauges stabilize, I want to go ahead and the first part of the cell, the S, is for static. I want to sitting still. I want to make sure that I don't lose more than 3 pounds in 1 minute. So as I watch that gauge, just sitting still, I should not see that gauge move more than 3 pounds in 1 minute, which shouldn't be much movement at all. Okay, now that it's been a minute, I'm going to go to the A. And the A is called the applied. So I'm going to apply a constant foot-pound of pressure. And after the system stabilizes, I'm going to watch and make sure that I don't lose more than 4 pounds in 1 minute. As I verify and watch that, I see that I'm not losing any air on there. Okay, now that it's been a minute, I'm going to release that, and now I'm going to move on to the L, which is the low air warning device. I'm going to bleed the brake and bleed the air system down until the air warning, both the visual and the audio, come on at somewhere around 60 pounds of pressure. I do that by just fanning the foot brake until I have air going down, and I have on my primary tank, I already have my red light came on and it's around 60 pounds. I'll wait until my light comes on my secondary tank. And there it is, and I have warning devices on both gauges and on the dash warning me that my air tanks have gotten down below 60 pounds. Now I'm going to go for the E, which is the emergency pop out. And that should take place, both of these valves should pop out somewhere between 20 and 45 pounds of pressure. So I'll continue to bleed that down until my valves pop out. They both popped out. My primary tank popped out right at about 20, and my trailer valve popped out at about 35. So those are both within the proper parameters. That is a 4-sail check. Again, I check my foot brake, my trailer valve, my parking valve. That's the 4. And then I do sail. Static, make sure I don't lose more than 3 pounds in 1 minute. Applied, make sure I don't lose more than 4 pounds in 1 minute. Low air warning, make sure that comes on around 60, no less than 60 pounds. And emergency pop out, that both valves pop out somewhere between 20 and 45 pounds of pressure. That's a complete in-cab inspection.